Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and I'm trying to narrow down which pair of needle nose pliers would work best in my Minimalist Overlanding Tool Kit. And the reason I'm starting here is because whatever I choose here will dictate what else I need in terms of pliers. So I'm going to go through my thought process with you here, eliminating some of these. But I thought I'd start out with a little story. I've been working on fences lately. And basically I'm using T-posts and some panels and some rollout welded wire fence using standard kind of a thin gauge wire as a wrap around the T-post. And normally, you know, if I was doing fence work, I might grab my fence pliers. And these are actually not the best for using small gauge wire, or I guess large gauge wire, but, you know, anyway, small diameter wire. They do, you know, come in great having a hammer built in, so that's wonderful. So my usual go-to then, if I'm not using my fencing pliers, is a pair of lineman pliers like these. But these are heavy, and small gauge wire, you know, is a little harder to grab, you know, and it just starts to fatigue after a while. So I grabbed these. Actually, I went through a couple of pliers before I got to these. I tried needle nose and a slip joint, and I ended up using these for most of the project. These were great fencing pliers. I mean, good cutting knives. And then this kind of modified lineman right up front was just great at grabbing the smaller wire that I was using and then twisting it, and then I could trim it really easy. So just throwing that out there. These might have been designed as a hybrid electrician's plier, but for fencing they actually worked really well. So let's take a look at this. I've laid out a handful of my different types of needle nose pliers. And my thought process at the moment, I'm going to start out with some elimination, kind of like a dichotomous tree, if you will. So the first thing I'm going to throw out is I want kind of a standard shaped plier, most use, which means I'm going to eliminate, you know, smaller kind of needle nose electronics pliers. So I'll get rid of this guy, get rid of this guy, get rid of this one. And then I'm going to look at what's left. I want a full-size plier, so I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm going to get rid of this one. This is a little bit of a question. I'm actually going to get rid of it. It's wonderful, but the front end of it's pretty small. And I might as well toss out this one at the moment. This is on the small end of a kind of a traditional shape. Okay, so I'm also going to get rid of unusually shaped or different kind of heavy-duty pliers, or kind of a modified plier design. So here's a crescent. I'm going to get rid of this guy because what it does great, but it doesn't do as many things as a conventional one. I'm going to get rid of the needle nose here, also because it doesn't have cutting teeth, which will be next. And I'm going to get rid of these long neck snap-ons here. These are great for what they do, but they also can cause problems in other arenas. So I'm down to this. Now, as I look at these, I'm going to eliminate 3 more. This one, and this one. You might be able to figure out why. I'm not anticipating doing, you know, much in the way of wire stripping or electronics work. And if I do need to strip wire, you know, I can always do it the old-fashioned way. And I'm not doing house repairs. I'm, you know, talking about an overland vehicle, so I'm not working with Romex and probably only one size wire. And it's very easy to do that with a conventional pocket knife. And I'm not going to be crimping. I've got electrician's tape because I'm also not planning on doing you know, electrical work out in the field. I will be able to, but I'm not going to carry dedicated tools for it since I'm not anticipating it. So these guys are out. So what do we got left here? I'm going to knock out a couple here. This one, as much as I like it, and it's kind of a traditional, this is pretty narrow. I'm probably going to need something a little bit more substantial right up front there. I'm going to get rid of these Craftsman. These are really stiff. I'm not impressed with them. Yeah, they're okay, but they're going out primarily because of quality. Same with these channel locks. They're pretty stiff. Excuse me, channel lock should have thought of that. But I like the conventional design, solid. So those are out. what do I have left? I've got kind of a traditional snap-on here. I've got a Knipex, I've got a Klein, I've got a couple of snap-ons, another Klein. These two Kleins are very similar. This is a Craftsman here, professional. Again, it's got the bolt grabbing, but I'm not as keen on the quality on the up front side, so I'm not going to deal with that. The Ideals, it's a good solid plier. I'll leave that out for a sec. Van plier, excellent plier. This is a little more of a kind of a duck bill, but what I want to know is if I'm going to keep this, that'll be my screw extraction plier. If I don't keep it, then I do want something that I can use for screw extraction, because that is a very real thing, especially working with campers and overlanding. So I've got to decide on that. Older school, I've probably got better metal, better cutters. I'm going to get rid of that one. Between these two Kleins, you know, I actually like this one better. They're very similar. You can see these are pretty beefy. In fact, they might be a little too beefy because they're pretty heavy in the girth up front. So I'm actually going to eliminate them. They're great for electronics. They're great for, you know, working with wire, especially, you know, like 12 and 14 gauge wire. But I want something that works in the needle nose space, whatever that is. So these, I think, as much as I love them, I mean, I would probably want something smaller. Now, I will say I do have some small options. In my first aid kits, I have tweezers, I have hemostats, and I have scissors, and all three of those also can work as small pliers, and they often do. But I'm going to pass on these at the moment. All right, the next, I've got Snap-on, Ideal, Van plier, and Knipex. These two are very similar. This would be an Advantage, so this guy goes bye-bye. Between these two, the Ideal and the Snap-on, probably take the Snap-on over it. The tips are a little bit different, but they're similar in size. Snap-on's a little thinner, but the width is about the same, so I don't see a benefit here. All right, so now I've got a Snap-on, a Van plier, and a pair of Knipex. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be using this particular kind of bolt grabbing part of this. I'm trying to imagine that versus having a little bit finer point on a fairly stout set of needle nose. I'm going to eliminate the Van plier right here because I'm probably going to look at a larger one. It might fall into the lineman because this is pretty small. This is really small for screws. So yeah, it's great for little ones. I'm anticipating I might need it for larger screws. So it's down to these two, the Knipex and the Snap-on. And this is where I'm going to throw it out to you. What do you think? Which one? The Snap-on is more of a full size. This is a little more compact. I'll show you the blade lengths from the pivot. If you look, Snap-on's got a little bit more of a reach. Both have good cutters. This is almost a little more, well, pretty close in terms of the flushness or lack of flushness. So one of these will make the cut. And I'm going to throw it out to you. I'm leaning this direction, but what do you think? And let me know in the comments section, or if I missed something, or if there's an entire different plier that I should be looking at for this space. The Minimalist Overlanding Needle Nose Plier. Because upon this plier, I will then choose my other plier or pliers. Kind of depends. And with that, Doc out.